Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and the next WWE What If? What if The Undertaker beat Brock Lesnar? Now, before we get started, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick and check out the About tab and homepage so you don't miss anything for the Omniverse's future. With all that said, let's begin. So, in April, WrestleMania 30, 2014, we saw Brock Lesnar and Undertaker fight. And Brock Lesnar's mission was simple: kill the Undertaker's streak and conquer it. Because at this point, Undertaker had 21 WrestleMania wins in a row. And Brock Lesnar, he was bringing it to the Undertaker. Undertaker tried everything: last rides, choke slams, tombstones, Hell's Gates. He tried it all. But Brock Lesnar ended up coming out on top in one of the biggest upsets, surprises, and hugest moments in all of professional wrestling. The streak was broken, 21-1. For The Undertaker and his streak being broken to Brock Lesnar. But what if it didn't happen? What if someone else did it? Or what if it didn't happen at all? What if The Undertaker didn't lose that night to Brock Lesnar? Would he lose it to someone else? Would he keep it for the rest of his career? That's what we're going to answer today. Now, I was going to make this a story. I really was. And matter of fact, I thought about multiple ways to do this. But I've also seen it covered a bunch of times. Believe it or not, people have actually, thought that WWE what-ifs weren't really a thing. Well, surprisingly, this actually came up as, one of the most talked about, actual what-if things. And it just made me think that if I went along an angle of that, it wouldn't be any different. And this isn't like, what if someone broke the streak earlier? This is literally opening up the table for Undertaker to keep that streak. So we're going to talk about this in multiple ways. This is going to be a long discussion, so make sure you are all good and relaxed, because we're still going to get a discussion here. It's just going to be like this, so pay attention. So, Undertaker not losing the streak presents opportunity maximum. Literally. So, Brock Lesnar, Undertaker was this close to a broken neck and cracked skull, and that's the reason why he didn't get that shoulder up on the third F5, because Brock was not quitting. But let's say Undertaker manages to get more choke slams, more tombstones, and even a last ride, or maybe even a Hell's Gates. Just anything. He maximizes every little bit of energy his dead man persona possesses, and he manages to get the win. What happens there? Because then you have 22-0, and his streak would be all the more freaking iconic. What does he do from there? Well, I still feel that he would have taken time off, because Brock broke him no matter what. Does this set up a rematch for SummerSlam? No. Because Brock, while I think this would set up a rematch, I don't think it would be along the lines of Triple H and Shawn Michaels, because Brock was the closest to breaking the streak. And if Undertaker goes away and he gets a rematch and Brock goes even more hard in, then he just gets the streak that way, and it's less impactful, I feel. It would have been that way if Triple H like, won that second time around. Now, if Shawn Michaels won the second time around and didn't sell off his career, that's another what if. But for Brock Lesnar, many people, if not the entire world, including myself, think Brock Lesnar did not deserve that title of breaking the streak. He is already a freaking beast. He is already the UFC champion. He's been the WWE heavyweight champion. He's been the Ultimate Fighting champion. And the dude is literally built to be a monumental achievement and superstar. Even going into this year, which is speculated to be his last, and is even supposedly setting up for that, he never needed the Undertaker, like, streak broken to make him more monumental, you know? But it is what it is, and it's not like we could change it. And I just think that if you gave him a rematch, after him being the closest to breaking the streak, Undertaker goes away because of injury, and he comes back and they just get a rematch, first of all, it wouldn't be no different than SummerSlam. And number two, I just don't think that it would have hit the same. It would have been pointless to even try to fight for the streak at that point. You literally would have been signing Undertaker up to retire so much earlier. You're talking about Roman Reigns retiring The Undertaker at WrestleMania. AJ Styles did that, first of all. But this is just a side note. Second of all, Brock Lesnar having a rematch would have basically meant that you would have signed up Undertaker to retire. Because Brock would have gone to that route. Even more so than he went to break the streak. But, anyways, I think that Brock would just be done after that. And sulk in utter anger. And maybe start a feud with someone else. But like I said, it would hardly be worth it. Or even make sense to have another rematch. Unlike H and Michaels, who had personal history, Brock was just there to break the streak just because. And especially Heyman being the voice of reason for that to happen. And it's like, we told you so. And it's like, you know, all that stuff. But if Brock doesn't break it, who does? Well, Bray Wyatt was the next main one to fight him. So it could have been that. If Bray Wyatt had broken the streak, this would have changed him from we all look at Bray Wyatt as the Fiend, or this master manipulator, or this mysterious figure, this mind player, this figure that we look at, passed away for 3 years now, as one of the greatest minds of WWE, and one of the most brilliant, strategic people to mess with your mind, and one of the greatest, like, people to compel a very weird and bizarre narrative. And that's just what Bray Wyatt was in many aspects. A very bizarre and overall compelling and awesome individual. And anything about him can say as such. If Bray Wyatt had broken the streak, this would have propelled Bray Wyatt to a level that nobody would have been expecting from him. Now, would Bray Wyatt have doing it, broke the streak, make him even more hated than Brock Lesnar? I really don't think so. That people definitely still wouldn't have liked it, but I think people would have been less hateful about it, especially getting on to future WrestleManias and SummerSlams, than they were about Brock Lesnar. Because Brock just overall didn't deserve it, while an upcoming amazing superstar like Bray, you could have definitely put in the narrative. So, Bray Wyatt doing it is much more deserved and would have led him to being so much more monumental. As a matter of fact, I could see Bray Wyatt doing it, and eventually, before he passes, like by the whole time the Fiend persona like completely dies down, and maybe a year or two before he passes away, him getting a Hall of Fame induction. Not just because of that, but because the resulting comeback of him doing it would have most likely gotten him into the Hall of Fame. And that's just my opinion. And I think that that would have overall been a major step for Bray Wyatt, and we would have looked at him as we do now so much better. And then you got Kane, who was the brother of Destruction alongside Undertaker, and that is a huge one that I feel people would have not been at all upset with. Because here's what you could do. Kane doing it is one of the most monumental things that you could do for Kane. Because Kane, especially as a brother of Destruction and with the mask, is just like Undertaker. He is modeled to be one of the dark personas and overall one of the most underrated WWE superstars that had way too many good phases. And I feel that his, like, evil persona was underlooked severely. But if you had Kane break the streak instead, this would have almost maybe even been the ultimate key to retiring Undertaker. Great. You could have had it so that Kane breaks the streak, Undertaker retires, and Kane becomes the new Undertaker. So much better and far more, amazing. Not to say that Undertaker will always be one of the greatest, hugest, and biggest names in all of professional wrestling. And his streak says as much. But if you had made Kane basically break the streak and retire Undertaker, this would have put Kane in the same level or even better than The Undertaker. And that's saying a lot, because with how close Kane and Undertaker were, especially as Brothers of Destruction, that would have been the greatest way to cap off Undertaker's career, by having Kane break the streak. And then you have the big dog, or the OTC, Roman Reigns, who claims that he retired The Undertaker at WrestleMania in the no-holds-barred match, even though Styles basically fought him in his last WrestleMania. But people talk extensively about the fact that if they were to have someone break the streak other than Brock Lesnar, it would have been Roman Reigns. Because Undertaker put his gear in the ring. And yes, Undertaker did, in a sense, retire at WrestleMania against Roman Reigns. But he just put the gear in the ring, and he still came back as The Undertaker to fight AJ Styles. And he even came back to chokeslam The Rock at WrestleMania 40. So, that just goes to show you, some people just don't retire. Anyway, if I were to truly pick, Roman Reigns, especially with how much they were pushing him as a babyface, you could say, considering the fact that he said, I retired The Undertaker at WrestleMania, and how much he was, chanting it to John Cena before their No Mercy match, you could argue the fact that if Roman had broken the streak and basically truly retired Undertaker in that sense, then it would have made Roman Reigns even more hated, possibly more than Brock Lesnar. But considering what Roman had going for him in terms of who he was and what superstar he was, people can't just say that him doing it was bad because they were forcing him as a babyface. It might have actually turned into a really awesome, compelling story, and would have made his future OTC days possibly worse for him, or even better, a compelling narrative. And probably would have signed Undertaker up for a rematch. That's just how much potential, especially Roman Reigns had. So there's another one. And the list goes on and on. John Cena and Undertaker, they didn't have an extensive full-on match, so you could have had the Never Seen 17 Grand Slam champion. You could have had him break the streak. Literally. This is why I did it in a discussion like this. Because, unlike someone breaking the streak early, the floor is open for everyone to get a chance to break the streak. Even new upcoming superstars. Literally. Baron Corbin could have broken the streak. Stone Cold Steve Austin's return in 2022. He could have had a match and broken the streak. Freaking The Rock could have broken the streak. Freaking Kevin Owens could have broken the streak. AJ Styles, Chris Jericho, a returning CM Punk, Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins, freaking anyone and everyone. Randy Orton could have broken the streak. Everyone that you could possibly think of. Even ones that I don't pay too much attention to, like Daniel Bryan, for example. Mark Henry would have been a ginormous hold on breaking the streak. Braun Strowman could have broken the streak. Finn Balor could have broken the streak. Almost every star that you could think of between the time Undertaker lost the streak to present day, right here, right now. Every single person you can think of that would stand a remote chance against The Undertaker had potential to break the streak. Even AJ Styles, who had history with The Undertaker, fought him in his last WrestleMania, and Undertaker promoted him to Hall of Fame. Styles would have been a great one too. But it literally could have been anyone. Now, let's say no one does, okay? Let's say Brock doesn't break it, and literally no one does. And Undertaker literally retires with the streak just being however many it would be. Like, let's say it's a stupid Goldberg number, but there's no possible way that it could be that because he only went by WrestleMania. Not Goldberg literally doing it every single match. Even Goldberg could have broken the streak. Because him and Taker had history. They had a match at Super Showdown. But, let's say The Undertaker never loses. Okay? Let's say that he retires with the streak never ending. That would have been the ultimate symbolization and way to cap off, at that point, the greatest WWE superstar of all time. Having the greatest streak in professional wrestling and in WrestleMania history. And still he does. So, if he retires with the streak remaining intact, that cements a true tenfold better legacy than how Taker left it. And I think that no matter if someone broke the streak or not, I think we can all agree, anything but Brock Lesnar. No matter how much of a beast or good superstar you are, there were so many others you could have given, and just leaving the streak alone would have been a great way to cement Undertaker's legacy. I hope you guys liked this long explanation and talk for Undertaker beating Brock Lesnar. I know it wasn't like a story or pictures or anything, but I just felt that the opportunity to talk about it more extensively lied into me actually talking. Because, like I said, it's not like people talking and like this being like a, hey, he breaks the streak early. This is literally opening the floor to anyone and everyone, or no one at all. So, I hope you guys liked this different kind of turn for WWE, and I will see you guys on the last What If for this list Helena Hutchins, and then the next two lists moving forward in the growing Omniverse. And I'll see you guys next time.